Apex, the peak of South African motoring.
Okay, so I'm on my way to go and surprise Marius. He doesn't know what we're driving today, and hopefully he will be pleasantly surprised because it is the Mini Cooper SE, and this does put a smile on almost everybody's face, hopefully on his. I should have lied to him as to what I'm going to bring, but let's see. Here we go. Okay, he looks ecstatic. Hey sugar, you want a lift?
Yeah, very cool. I do like this, especially the...
Was it a surprise?
It was a surprise. I've been meaning to drive, or hoping to drive, one of these mini SEs for so long. So this is such a good way to begin a weekend.
Well, nice. Well, while I've still got about 50% battery left, maybe we should give it a good old spin around the block.
It sounds good.
Cool. I haven't picked up a guy next to the side of the road in a very long time. I think I've never picked up a blonde guy either. A nice surprise collection.
Yeah, this is quite the surprise. As I said, I've always wanted to experience the Mini Cooper SE, and I mean, because I've had experiences in, I mean, the Mini 1, the Cooper S, and John Cooper Works. But I think when you go and look at the local Mini lineup, you have, on the one side of the spectrum, you have this fully electric Mini, and then on the hardcore side of the spectrum, you have, I mean, the John Cooper Works, and then of course the limited edition, the new GP.
I think this has added, kind of filled the portfolio for Mini Cooper really nicely. I think it, like, you literally, everything from top performance, even if you look at kind of the Countryman, I'm a big fan of a tiny big car, but here, like, this is something that I wasn't ready for, and I feel like now I am. I think it hits every sweet spot on the electric side of things, but there's a lot to get used to. Like, there's that tongue twister that you know that I can't say on the brake.
Regenerative
braking, whatever, Google it. Anyhow, so that was something that I had to get used to. On this. Like, that was a complete my mind, because it is weird. It's like you ultimately rely on your petrol pedal the whole time. Like, brake is, like, right now, since we've started, like, I haven't once put my foot on the brake, which is something you have to get used to. I don't know, what did you like, you've driven EVs before, like,
yes.
What's your feel on that?
It does take some time getting used to, but what I do like about it is that, of course, I mean, when you depress the brake, then it recharges the battery as well. But the one pedal driving, if you become used to it, I mean, it works so well. And but yeah, I think the thing is, as you mentioned, it does take some time getting used to.
I had a few embarrassing situations in our, like, where I live. It was like, I was that person, like, we've got a security boom where you have to check out, and like, I braked and I thought I was going to go through the windshield. I was like, what is happening? Like, how did this thing brake before I braked? So it does take getting used to, but obviously there is a reason for it. Look, from a pricing point of view, I think I'm impressed, but it is difficult to swallow a pill of, what, 658,000 for a fully electric vehicle, where for a couple of bucks more you can get the new Golf GTI.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, 700,000 rand. So I mean, at the end of the day, if you are looking to buy into the EV market in South Africa, this is the least expensive electric vehicle you can buy. And I mean, there is a collector's electric edition as well, which is a bit more expensive, but even fitted with that spec, it's still the least expensive model of the, I think, 5 electric cars you can currently buy in South Africa.
And it looks cool, like it doesn't look like that typical. See, most of the time electric vehicles scream that they're electric vehicles. It's like we were saying, if it's not for the insignias on the car and the mags and like certain trimmings, you wouldn't have known that this is an EV.
I think Mini is one of the manufacturers that they, to a certain extent, they remain true to the original design of the traditional Mini Cooper. I mean, although it is bigger, it is heavier, it has more power and all of that, but they do tend to try and make it as true to the original as possible. And of course, I mean, when Sir Alec Isagonis conceptualized the Mini, that was, I mean, I wonder whether he would have ever thought that a Mini would be powered by an electric motor.
If he would have approved even.
And I think because, I mean, when they started the Mini, I mean, even with when manufacturing the first one, although the word wasn't used that widely, the word sustainability, they did build it with that in mind. No wastage and all of that. And I think this falls into that as well, because of course there's no emissions. But I mean, speaking of the engine, how have you experienced the electric motor?
I think it's sufficient enough. Like my biggest irk has been kind of, but we've had this with every EV we've had, like distance on the long road. Like there is an issue for me with that. Like town driving has been great. If you look at what you get, 33 kilowatts of like electric or per hour. And I think it does enough, but interestingly enough, from a performance point of view, there has been times where I was like, I kind of forgot that I was driving an EV. This thing is pretty powerful. Like I don't think it's lacking in the kind of the performance side of things. Obviously the electric side of things we have to get used to. Like it is, you don't just quickly jump in your car and like, I'm going to quickly shoot through to Franschhoek and no, I'm not on 77 kilometers. No, you're not. So yeah, this performance has been great. Handling has been superb. Like my mind has been blown, but I've always said that about the brand. Like they really and I think that's like where John Cooper works also. Like with that base, like the performance and handling is sublime. But on that note, you wanna goeie...
Does it mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is quite cool. That is very space age.
That is something else.
It's always what I like about the little tune or jingle it plays as soon as you start up the car is, I have spent time in other EVs, and the first time I did it, I started the car and there was no sound at all, and I didn't know whether the car was on or not. So I mean, we were talking about getting used to the EV experience, and I mean that was something I had to get used to, but luckily, I mean, soon I knew, okay, but just start it and it will go. Put it in drive and that's fine. So
that is nice. Like that was probably also one of my favorite. Well, it was weird. First I was like, what the is happening? And I was like, okay, cool. Well, it is a nice kind of indication of you are ready to go.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to talk to me like in a very seductive electronic voice, but yeah. And then I tried to do it myself and I was like, I should never speak, full stop. So that didn't work. But look, I like space. Back seats, so like I've kind of pushed my seat almost all the way back. My hand can barely fit in between the back seat and back of my seat. But I do still think if you're a considerate passenger and driver, there's enough space there for people to have fun in the back. Cup holders all round, which is pretty kiff. There's actually 5 at the back, or 3 at the back, 2 in the front. The only thing, but again, it doesn't severely irritate me, like there isn't really much space in the door, like stowaway compartments for anything. Like I've got my cell phone there and like it just fits in there, so there's not really space there, but it's got ample space from like a cup holder point of view, USB charging, everything that you ultimately would need and expect in a car. The Harman Kardon, where's the Harman Kardon? I don't think anybody, like Bang & Olufsen, like I think everybody says everything wrong. So the Harman Kardon sound system, you only expect like the best from within this mini family and extended family. Like I like the design finish, like this little meshy, chromy-ish, not carbon fiber, thank God, but that finish is pretty kiff. Like I like the air vents. Design is tidy, super clean. I'm hell of impressed with it. Little infotainment system, like it is minute. Like I think it's 5 point something inch screen that even looks smaller to me, but obviously went on the ooh, look at the, or was that you?
No, that wasn't. I'm not sure. I don't think I pressed anything.
Or maybe we just figured something else out. Something happened.
But it's,
no, maybe it was you.
I think I do appreciate that. But I do appreciate that it has Apple CarPlay, and although I do think that with Mini, the one thing that they can work on is their software, because it is the same software. Yeah, I mean, slightly updated over the years, and so with facelifts and mid-cycle updates. But I do think that the software design and how it works, I think it would be good if it could receive
kind of a bigger upgrade,
a more comprehensive update into how it works, how it looks,
and especially climbing into a car like this, like this is the future. Like I do feel like I agree with you on that. It's a bit still stuck in the past. And another thing, like it doesn't come standard with a reverse cam, which you would expect. I'd expect that it's like a dead-on standard in a car like this. So I was quite surprised with that. It's obviously got parking sensors, which is so aggressive. Like it's like just another person telling you what to do, but like in a really high-pitched tone voice. So like at least you sorted there, but still I felt like it needed a reverse cam. But yeah, from I think what you get is great. And especially with kind of that, ultimately this car has been dubbed as the most affordable EV available to us right now. And looking at that, you get a hell of a lot of car for that, a hell of a lot of little car for that. I don't know how to word that more. I
mean, with the power, I mean the 135 kilowatts and 217 newton meters of torque, I mean, everything is on tap from the get-go, the moment you depress the throttle. And I can remember the first time driving an EV, and it was the weirdest sensation, which, I mean, it's so good, like having that power so accessible, so easily available. There's no waiting for a certain amount of revs for everything to be there.
No, and she's fast. Like, 0 to 107.5 seconds. That's great. Like for like instant power that you're getting, there is no lag, which is cool. Like that's what you ultimately want.
The handling is very good. It is on the firmer side, like what I've experienced in other minis as well. But I think some people might argue that it is too heavy, but this feels just right. It feels direct. The steering I think is spot on. I think it's nicely weighted, and yeah, I mean it is sufficient. I mean, it's not 225 kilowatts like the GP or anything like that, but for what it is, and I think for Mini's opening gambit to the EV market segment, I think this is especially for city driving, I think this is such a great car.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah, be interesting to see how many we'll see on the road. I think there will be appetite, but the question is how much.
Apex, the peak of South African motoring.